through. The rest of the cars he's racing against probably got 4, so that's why Dale is retreating somewhat.
All right, we've got, I believe, caution coming again. Yeah, indeed, the yellow flag flying once again at Pocono. And this, what would be a long afternoon anyway, is even longer today by a flurry of yellow. The problem apparently over in the short straightaway between 2 and 3. And once again, the yellow flag has flown here on lap 96, and I believe that's the 6th caution flag of the day.
It looked like it was Richard Petty. I hate to say that, but as I looked out over the field there, it looked like it might have been Richard Petty.
Frustrating day for the man who has run his 10,000th mile on this racetrack today. That's 10,000 Winston Cup miles. Figures he also must have run about 1,000 USAC miles on this race. He won a USAC race here way back when. There is the battered remains of Richard Petty's automobile here this afternoon. Petty has hit the wall in the short straightaway between turns 2 and 3, and an incident that undoubtedly was triggered off the tunnel turn. All you can see is wall when you go through there, but if you lose it there, it sometimes takes a while to hit that wall. Richard hit it nose first. Mike Waltrip went just past this point and got into oil yesterday and backed his car into the wall and had to go to a backup car. Those have been the 2 worst crashes of the week.
You remember when we were talking to Darrell earlier in the lead of the show, he said if you have a crash at the tunnel turn, you've got a serious crash. That's what happened.
Petty has hit the wall pretty hard. The front end is badly damaged, and we will bring you an update on his condition as soon as we have it. No reason at this point to believe that Richard is in any sort of danger, even hurt, but we'll get an update on that as soon as we have it. The cautions coming in rapid succession here, and that dictating the strategy.
Really, it's really an honor to be asked.
I think it's at a point in time, I think there was some problems with that spin on pit road. It is Troy Beebe who has spun and hit the wall on pit road, and he tore up Brett Bodine's sponsor banner, and they'll be unhappy about that. No damage done. He makes the left-hand turn into what is turn 4 here at Pocono. That's when you go behind the wall. Caution will fly, and Schrader is in front of Bodine as they come back towards start-finish. There is the car out of harm's way. They will waive that caution, and that means that when they come back to the wire, Schrader may have the opportunity to get that lap back. This time, I don't think Bodine will be able to repass. Telecast of Winston Cup Racing, and Pat Patterson has a viewer question to deal with. Whoa, trouble on the racetrack. Big spin as Robbie Moroso hits the fence. Second spin of the day, and he's in trouble. Is everybody going to get by? Unbelievable. Let's pray that that continues and everybody can snake through. That car is sitting dead center in the middle of the racetrack, and everybody got by. And Phil, I don't think there is a scarier moment in racing than that right there.
Boy, I tell you, that was tough. That's a very fast part of the racetrack, and as fast as the cars were going, I tell you, that just shows the skill of the drivers that they can get by him without hitting him, and he's sitting dead sideways in the middle of the racetrack.
And you were talking about a mid-race wall or something. I mean, those guys had to be absolutely on top of everything and sharp to be able to anticipate that. And thank God we got a wide racetrack as well. That helped.
Good to figure out what happened.
He looked just fine, and then I think he's going right through the tunnel turn. They looked just fine, and you can see the back end start to slip out. Looked like he may have been a little bit high.
Yeah, I think he was definitely high.
He may have got the right rear tire up in the loose stuff, and that just sent him around and into the wall. Like Darrell said earlier, if you spin out in the tunnel turn, you're going to hit the wall.
And you've got to be down low. You can see that everybody has always been down low. Darrell was just, maybe a half a car length, but that half a car length is a lot. It makes a big difference on where you get traction.
The frightening aftermath as everybody slithered by without contact, and apparently the Rick Wilson spin was indeed a post-Moroso spin, and starting to the bottom of the racetrack to get pit road. Allison will get right side tires, and looky there. Diving under both the Fords goes the Chevy of number 18. The new leader of the race is Greg Sachs. Incredible competition. No yellow for Dale Jarrett, who will limp back around to the pit. And he got a long way to go there with a flat tire. We would speculate that it might have been a tire woe as well for Davey Allison, who had worked his way all the way up to fifth. And Jarrett comes limping on pit road. Blown tires, cut tires. Cut tires have been the story here at Pocono today of racetrack between himself and Sachs. Here is the leader. Harry Gant has not yet stopped. And now the yellow will fly. Yellow flag will fly. Harry Gant, the leader of the race, as they charge back down. Trouble point is on the backstretch as the yellow flag flies for a record 11th time here today at Pocono. Gant will make his stop under yellow. The rest of the leaders have all stopped at this point and should have what they need to go the distance. So this will be an interesting situation. Whoa, wait a minute. It is Alan Kulwicki who has crashed off the tunnel turn. Kulwicki, a frustrating afternoon, has smacked the wall between turn 2 and turn 3 after what was perhaps his strongest run of the 1990 season. Kulwicki's car is reduced to junk, and let's take a look at it from the inside of Kyle Petty's car. He was right behind him. Heading toward the tunnel turn right here. Phil, if you see any indication of what caused this, chime right in.
Lone tire.
Lone tire. You saw the rubber?
Left rear, it looked like.
Boy, what a break for Kyle. And how he missed him, I don't have any idea.
Like running through shrapnel. You can bet that stuff was smacking that windshield, making an awful lot of noise, and Petty's thinking, whoa, am I going with him?
Happened, they just all shook their heads. They couldn't believe it. They just watched this race potentially go down the drain. There's still time. It's only a caution flag. Caution on the speedway while Earnhardt's in the pits, and he goes back out again after taking 2.
Big pile up turn 1. Randy LaJoie's number 13 is involved. Likewise, the 21 of Dale Jarrett, who smacked the wall a ton up there. A third car involved.
Looks like
a three-car tangle, and I think it is Mr. Excitement, as the three of them collided and jammed the concrete. That is a new barrier outside turn 1 and 2. It was here a year ago that we saw Jeff Bodine actually knock down the old boilerplate fence that used to surround this place and still does down in the slower turn 3 episode. Here you see it, apparently triggered by a Jarrett cut tire. He forced Jimmy Spencer into the wall, totally inadvertently, of course. Jarrett cut the wheel, but there was no place to go, and here is LaJoie smacking in, and not really that hard to hit. I would speculate that LaJoie, too, is okay. He didn't hit anything that hard. He hit a glancing blow off both cars, but Winston Cup cars, as we've heard repeatedly, are the safest race cars anywhere around. That's one of the reasons a lot of guys come to this series. The likes of a Kenny Schrader raced those little open wheelers for years and years and years, and finally said, wait a minute, career decision. I need to go get in something that wraps me up in a cushion of steel and makes me safe. And Phil, I don't think there's any question that these are the safest race cars in the world. Right back really and said, no, thank you, friend. I'm going to hang on to this spot. And Rusty is in second spot as they turn for the white flag, which awaits at the end of a long and grueling afternoon here. 3.5 hours after things get started, the checkered flag will fall. Long day. 4.5 hours. My apologies for that. The long caution as Andy Petrie with the broken sunglasses looks on, obviously anxious. This is a helpless time for the crew chief. What can he do?
He's done all he can do. All he can do is just sit back there and watch. And the problem is, like right now, he cannot see Harry Gant anymore. So he'll be looking towards turn 3. And when he sees that green and white car, that Skoll car come off turn 3, then he'll be a happy man. And he'll probably get a new pair of sunglasses.
White flag for Harry Gant, and probably the longest lap live that he'll run all day.
Yeah, for sure, because he's not had the best season. He's got that reputation, I think, for being a bridesmaid all the time and not the bride, and he's certainly got it here. And that sigh of relief that the pits are going to have when they see that green and white car, as Phil mentioned, coming off of turn 3.
Well, it won't be long. He's hustling for home. Harry Gant in the Oldsmobile, having it all his way in the late laps here today. If you're going to get good for the last 15 laps, and that's exactly what Gant did. Bided his time early, came to life when he needed to. Fans on their feet. Harry Gant has won the Miller Genuine Draft 500 at Pocono. Rusty Wallace will finish second. Jeff Bodine is third. Brett Bodine is fourth. Davey Allison fifth. Hut Strickland sixth. Finishing 7th will be the number 18 of Greg Saxon. We've got a last lap crash. Number 66, Dick Trickle, has apparently crashed while turning for the checkered flag. It appears to be turn 3, so he did not get to the checker. Trickle, who started on the outside pole, has had a terrible afternoon. The checker and yellow will fall together, and Harry Gant will come back around to take the wave of congratulations from Rusty Wallace. A happy man, a well-deserved victory, and I guess the best race you can run at Pocono. You got to take your time. We're going to go to Pat Patterson in the Harry Gant pits.